used to require your tag number. I don't guess they do anymore. Ghost town here. Nothing. No cars up here at all. So it's my work schedule sucks sometimes. Sometimes it has its perks, being that I can come out in the middle of the week and hike at state parks and not have to deal with a whole bunch of people. I'm at Fort Mountain State Park in North Georgia, several miles north of LJ, and the plan today is to do some hiking. There's an old fire tower out here. There's an old wall. I don't know the complete history of the area other than it was some sort of fort many years ago, and there's still remnants of the old fort wall. There's a fire tower somewhere. There's a couple of vistas that I'm gonna look for. As you've seen at the beginning of the video, the kiosk or the attendant desk or attendant shack at the very front where you come into the park was closed, and they've got like a honor system. You pay the envelope, put the thing in your window. I was really hoping that would be open so I could get some information on the hiking trails. I'm looking at the kiosk over here now. It doesn't seem like there's any maps or information on the trails, so just kind of going to be flying by the seat of my pants here on what I'm hiking and where I'm going. I see a big rock monument over there with looks like a big plaque on top that probably talks about some of the stuff in the area, so we'll check that out when we go over there. Now, another reason that I came here today is to do a shakedown hike on a new pack that I've got. A couple videos ago, in the hammock tarp video, I mentioned and briefly showed a hiking pack that I had in that video, and I was explaining what I was doing with it, where I'm working on building a 3-day 72-hour pack that's going to be considered essentially a vehicle pack. So the idea is to have a 3-day pack that stays in my vehicle all the time, so that I have any and all gear when an emergency arises, but also have a 3-day pack that has any and all gear for any hikes that I decide to go on that are 3 days or less. And then I don't have to deal with packing up a whole bunch of stuff and getting a whole bunch of stuff. I'm gonna briefly show you this pack. I'm not gonna do a full review on it today. Essentially, I'm just here, like I said, to do a shakedown. I want to wear it and see how it's gonna do and act and wear in the woods. It is brand new. I've just got it earlier this week on Monday, and I switched all the contents out of the bag you've seen in the hammock video into this bag, and I actually still have a little bit more gear to order. I've got a My Medic first aid Molly kit coming that's gonna attach here on the front. I've got a new sleeping pad coming. I've got some new dry sacks coming, and as you can see from looking at this is in digital camo, ACU digital camo. And you've heard me say on some of my videos before that I'm not a huge fan of camo. I'm still not. However, I wanted to go with this tactical style assault bag for a couple of reasons. One being it's got the MOLLE attachments, so I can kind of get other small molly bags and attach to it to kind of break up the way I store some of my gear. I like things to be organized. I like things to be easy to get to. So like fire kit, water kit, I want to just be able to grab right off the side and not have to dig around in the main compartment of the bag. And then of course, like I mentioned, my medic first aid kit will be able to fit right on here. The new first aid, my medic kits are tearaways, so they'll attach here and then I can just grab it and pull it off. It's Velcroed. They come with shoulder slings, so I could tear it off my main pack, throw it on as a shoulder bag or even as a fanny pack type deal, and head into, you know, if someone's injured or if I need to make a quick removal for a car crash or whatever, I can just rip it right off. And when I get that in and I get everything attached to the bag, I'll do a review on that as well. And so with all that being said, a lot of the gear that I've updated and put in here matches this ACU camo. It's either ACU woodland camo or ACU sort of a desert style color like this. Everything in the pack's camo. There's a couple things. Currently I have this rain fly. It's an osprey that goes with one of my other packs. I just threw it on here this morning because I do have an ACU camo rain fly coming for this, but I haven't gotten it yet, and it doesn't look like it now, but there is like a 50% chance of rain today, so I don't want to be stuck out here without some sort of protection, rain protection for this pack. So this pack has, I have done a couple of walks with it, all 2 miles or less. All of them have been after work walks, just to stay busy and exercise. And there are 2 major things that I found with it already that I don't like. One being there's no water bottle holders on the pack. So there is this molly on both sides, and what I'm going to end up having to do is order a molly water bottle attachment to put here, which is completely fine because then I can dictate whether I want to have a water holder or not on there, depending on if I want to save weight or not. And then the other thing is the hip belt is just a nylon 1-inch strap on both sides. There's no padding whatsoever. I don't know what that's gonna mean as far as walking, and so that's another reason I wanted to come out here today. So I also have my tripod on here and this camp chair. Both of these things are kind of newer additions. I usually don't carry them. I also have this foam pad that was cut down to make seats, and then I've just put this water here. I don't know if it's gonna stay, but for now it should be okay. And so enough of the banter and the rambling on. We're gonna throw this pack on and we're gonna start hiking over here. I seen the sign that says the fire tower and the walls over here, so we're gonna go check that out first, and then we'll figure out where we're gonna go once we see all that. Stay tuned. So it looks like the CCC fire tower is 4 stories, and it's the tallest peak in the park. It allowed rangers to spot fires up to 40 miles away. Overlook Stonewall Tower. Let's see what this plaque up here talks about. Let's see. Mystery shrouds Fort Mountain. The trail to the north of this site leads to the mysterious and prehistoric wall of loose rocks from which Fort Mountain takes its name. Many generations of explorers, archaeologists, geologists, historians, and sightseers have wondered about the identity of the unknown builders and the purpose of their handiwork. From the brink of a cliff on the east side of the mountain, the wall extends 885 feet to another precipice on the west side. Its highest parts measure about 7 feet, but generally it rises to a height of 2 or 3 feet. There are 29 pits scattered fairly regularly along the wall, with the ruins of a gateway at one point. Speculation regarding the builders and their purpose covers a wide field. It includes references to sun worship and last-ditch defense by prehistoric white people, bloody warfare between rival Indian tribes, defense fortifications for Spanish conquistadors, hunting gold, and a honeymoon haven for Cherokee Indian newlyweds. Nobody knows which of the many legends and theories is true and which is false. The true answer still lies buried somewhere in antiquity and may never be unearthed. So, there you have it. I knew there was some sort of speculation on what the deal is with the wall. Apparently nobody really knows. So that's kind of interesting, that with all of the technology we have today and all the historians and stuff, no one can really say for sure what happened out here. Even though there aren't a whole lot of people here today specifically, looks like this place sees a lot of traffic. Trail's about 10 feet wide for the most part, all the way up through here so far, and all these rocks, the dirt's just been worn down around all the rocks, made into a gnarly little boulder garden. Good place to twist an ankle or twist the knee if you're moving quickly and not paying attention. And originally it wasn't climbing very much, but seems right now we're in a steady climb up to the top of this mountain here. So and it is was pretty chilly up here in the mountains, down in the mid 60s this morning. So as you've seen a while ago, I had a hoodie on, and I opted to go ahead and pull it off and leave it in the truck. Good thing I did, because I've probably gone 100 yards and I'm already heated up. So also, I guess with the rain we've had recently and the humidity, I'm getting a lot of different mushrooms, and I've been out of practice on studying these mushrooms for several months, so I'm not even going to speculate on what they are. But this biggest one right here is looks like a polypore just from looking at the cap, but I can't be for sure. I need to get my books back out and do some more research. But yeah, I mean, these mushrooms are all over. And I've also noticed them in my yard cutting grass. I've been having a lot growing, so must just be the right time of year for them. This is the issue with not handing out paper maps or having a good system other than just a little printed piece of paper. I've came to a fork in the trail. I can go left or I can go right. The blazes I've been following tell me to go right, and I see absolutely no blazes to the left. However, this trail is super worn, so obviously people use it. But according to what I read, it tells me that the tower is at the top of the tallest peak in the park, so it would only make sense to go up to get to the tower. And so now we've come to another dilemma, which this one's pretty easily solved. This is a four-way in the trail system here. So this trail I just came down, and then there's a trail there, there's a trail there, and there's a trail there. The sign says overlook, north face loop, and then CC Tower and old fort wall. I can see the tower from here, and that's where we want to head first. And then when we're up here at the tower, I'll look on Onyx or Google or maybe Gaia and see if I can figure out what some of these other trails, how long they are and where they lead. And then we'll check some of those trails out if we have time. So there's the tower there behind me. They've got a nice little rocked in area here for people to sit and look, I guess. I was expecting a view, but it looks like, I guess the tower's been here long enough, everything around it's grown up, and so it looks like there's probably a view out that way, and maybe you can see from up there, but the bottom door's locked and the top door's locked, so we're not going to be able to get that view other than just looking at the tower. Old fort wall, return trail to parking area, so we'll head down there in a minute. And so here's some information on the tower, and I'll read this right over here. In 1910, a wildfire known as the Big Blow Up consumed 3 million acres, the size of Connecticut, in the Pacific Northwest. It consumed 1 million acres in a 24-hour time period. The smoke was so dense that it drifted across the entire country into the nation's capital, forcing the then newly created Forest Service to address issues of fire suppression and safety. The policies that ensued would affect the country's forest lands for the next century. One call to arms was to increase the amount of fire lookout towers in areas of high risk. In response, thousands of towers sprang up across the nation. From these watchtowers, men would spend countless hours scanning the vast wilderness for smoke or other visible signs of fire. These guardians of the forest would use telephones, carrier pigeons, or heligraphs, signal flashes, to report the fires to appropriate personnel. So, here's a little bit of information on this. Built around 1934 in 1935, the structure was not only a fire lookout tower, but a cultural landmark for visitors to the area. The wooden structure burned in 1971. Towers that appeared in 2014 prior to restoration. It didn't have a roof, and the deck was still there, but and then they rebuilt the upper wooden structure, and they used southern cypress, it says. According to the architect, the original stairs were cantilevered from the stone walls, but the approach was not considered structurally sound by today's standards. Therefore, the stairs were constructed of steel and clad in wood. Stonemason fills in missing stone with on-site stone and repairs deteriorated joints. And then they're fixing the footers. So here's some restoration facts. Total cost for the restoration was $188,800. Materials: local stone, southern cypress, and white oak wood, and steel for support girders. Time frame: it took them 9 months. Agencies involved in the restoration process: Georgia DNR Engineering and Construction Division, State Parks, Recreation, and Historic Sites Division, Historic Preservation Division, Georgia Forestry Commission, project managers, architects, carpenters, stonemasons, and other construction personnel. So this, as I mentioned, it was constructed in 1934, 1935, and it was restored in 2015 because it burned. Where did it say? Looks like sometime between 1971, because there's a photo here of it in 1971 with the top, And then there's a picture of it here in 2014. So sometime between 71 and 2014 it burned before they restored it in 2015. So there's a lot of cool information on the tower. And again, it's locked, so really we can just look at it from here and see. It would be cool to be able to go up to the very top and see the view, at least facing out that direction, but it is what it is. So now not really much more we can do here other than just look. So now we'll head over here to the old wall and see what the old wall looks like, and just look, because I've never been here, and just look and see like what my theory would be on it versus what the theories are that we read on the plaque earlier. So apparently this is supposed to be the site of the old wall, and I'm not sure what I was expecting, but this is just a little bit different than what I was expecting to see. So let's see what these plaques have to offer up. We'll start with the left one. The Moon-Eyed People, Cherokee Legend of Fort Mountain. Mysterious stone wall. Prehistoric and historic stone structures dot the landscape of the southeast. Many of these features have been categorized as piles, cairns, mounds, walls, enclosures, and effigies. The stone wall at Fort Mountain, which zigzags below the summit, is one of the best examples in Georgia of a piled rock feature. Archaeology has shown that the architects of these structures are Native Americans, more than likely from the woodland period. However, the exact purpose of the wall and the tribe who built it remain a mystery, a legacy shrouded in legend and lore. Several legends surround the origins of the stone wall find their roots in Cherokee tradition. By the early 1600s, Cherokee tribes inhabited the areas that now encompass eastern Tennessee, northern Georgia, northwestern South Carolina, and western North Carolina. A few legends revolve around the Moon-Eyed People. And so here's a map, an older map of what they are saying. Seminoles, the Muskogees or Creek Indians, Cherokee Indians, North Georgia, what would be Tennessee, North Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, like they were talking about. Catawba's over here in eastern North Carolina. The Wookins, Tuscaroras up towards Virginia. The Cherokee Territory made up of one of 5 tribes of the southeast woodlands. And so the Moon-Eyed People. The earliest recorded mention of the Moon-Eyed People in Cherokee legend appears in Benjamin Smith Barton's New Views of the Origin of the Tribes of Nations of America, 1797. In some accounts of the legend, the Moon-Eyed appear as a bearded, fair-skinned race with blonde hair and blue eyes. Other tales recount them as a nocturnal people who could see in the dark but were nearly blind in the daylight, and a few tales describe them as albinos. The origins of the Stonewall in Cherokee legend have 2 primary versions. Version 1. The Moon-Eyed built the wall in defense of an ongoing war with the Cherokee Indians. The Cherokees, knowing that the Moon-Eyed were unable to see during certain phases of the moon, attacked under a full moon. This blinded the Moon-Eyed People and allowed the Cherokees to drive them from their homes and into hiding underground. Version 2. The Creek Indians were the ones who had an ongoing war with the Moon-Eyed and drove them into hiding. And then so over here on the right plaque is looks like probably what historians or archaeologists have theories that they've put together. I'm not sure, but we're going to read this one too. Piled stone wall. Numerous piled stone features dot the landscape of the southeastern U.S. One of the largest prehistoric stone walls lies here near the summit of Fort Mountain. The wall is composed of native stone gathered on site. Stones used for the wall range from a few pounds to several tons in weight. The height varies from 3 feet to 10 feet, and the width between almost 5 feet to 16 feet. In fact, the wall is not continuous, and 3 gaps break up the line into 4 walls. The length of stacked stone and gaps is just shy of 930 feet. Prehistoric walls have been observed elsewhere in Georgia, including Mount Yonah, White County, Stone Mountain, and DeKalb County, Browns Mount, Bibb County, Ladd Mountain, Bartow County, Track Rock Gap, and another Fort Mountain, Union County. These examples include the wall here, share several defining characteristics. Comprised of dry stone masonry, meaning there is no mortar, built on summits or ridges without any clear evidence for a defense or utilitarian function, contain no historical background linking their origins to European settlers, house no artifacts in or near the walls typically. Archaeological findings. What is known about Fort Mountain Stone Wall is the result of an archaeological survey conducted in 1955 and 1956 by Philip E. Smith, a Harvard graduate student. Smith and a fellow researcher carefully removed a section of the wall, documenting their observations before repiling the stones. He also compared the Fort Mountain Wall to others studied across the southeast. Smith's research concluded that this wall and others throughout the region were not fortifications, but more likely prehistoric symbol structures. Their true intended function and architects, however, remain unknown. Future archaeological work on the summit of Fort Mountain and its surroundings has the potential to add more pieces to the puzzle. If archaeologists could locate the campsites or other activity areas associated with the builders of the wall, we could better understand when and perhaps even why this serpentine piled stone feature lies before us. And this little Georgia shape up here says, much of Native American iconography portrays animals. What does the shape of the stone wall look like to you? Can you think of other examples of piled stones that are shaped like animals found in Georgia? And so they're saying that this resembles a serpent, aka a snake, which I suppose if you looked at it just right, the tail could be here, and this down here by what they're showing does look sort of like a head, but why it would be broken or what exactly that symbolism means is, I guess, the mystery that surrounds Fort Mountain, that surrounds the wall. And so, like I said, it was not what I expected. I was expecting, like, I guess what they would have considered by that a fortification wall built stacked with mortar, and this is nothing of the sort. This is, like they said, just piled stones. So you've got just a bunch of piled stones, and then a bunch of piled stones that goes that way, and this looks like I must be here at the very end of the one side. There's another plaque down there that we'll check out in a few minutes, but so looks like it goes on down this way for quite a while. Looks like they've had some trees fall. And so, according to the history of what that sign was telling us, it looks like these rocks were originally placed here in like probably pre-1600. So mind you, that tower, none of that would have been up there, and most of these hardwoods look pretty old. So I don't know for sure. I'm not a tree specialist or an arborist, but these may or may not have been here. So just in the theory that these trees were here, or at least some of them, you're not going to be having any views that way. And if these trees were here, or if these trees were not here, you could probably have a view that way. And then obviously looking down the mountain, if the trees were not there, you would have a view. And then I'm not exactly sure what the topography looks like on that side, but I would guess that it would probably be just shy of a view. That's if the trees weren't here. If with the trees being here, you have no views. So I understand what they mean by they see no fortification or defense properties of this wall, because I mean, they're not going to be seeing anything coming, because really they wouldn't have any views. So that's a pretty interesting aspect of what it was here for. And one place that I know they didn't mention on the sign was Sawney Mountain, about 2 hours south of here. Locally it's known as the Indian Seats. There's a museum there with all kinds of artifacts that they found on the mountain, and legend or folklore has it that they Indian chiefs would sit at the top of Sawney Mountain at the Indian Seats, and they would watch the trade route. And so the Indian Seats were naturally formed from the rock eroding from rain, but there's 3 of them. They're in perfect shapes of seats, and you can actually sit in them. And it's speculated that, like I said, the chiefs sat there years ago and watched the trade routes while people were, while their tribesmen were there trading for goods. It's all. This ancient stone fortification, 885 feet in length, and the land on the crest of this mountain, 2,832 feet above sea level, was given to the state of Georgia for the establishment of Fort Mountain State Park by Ivan Allen, public spirited citizen of Georgia, in the year of 1934. So it looks like maybe someone privately owned it for a long period of time and then donated it to be a state park. So where I'm at exactly, from the truck to the tower, down the hill to here, was exactly half a mile. So not very hard hiking at all. And just from reading the information that is known, I'm by no means a historian or Native American historian or any kind of topography specialist or anything. My kind of fun theory is this was a site of maybe Native American, what do they call them? I can't think of the name right now. I've actually been to a few. Basically, it's a Native American gathering where they get together and they do spiritual stuff and things along those lines. I kind of see the theory of what the sign was saying about it being symbolism of a snake. I don't know. I know the Indians had a lot of symbolism of animals. I don't know specifically what the serpent or the snake meant. But that's just a simple fun theory, you know. Hey, yeah, it's a snake. It could have been something as simple as they had teepees on the bottom and they had teepees on the top, and it was just a way to break up the camp. I mean, that's the simplest thing that a person could think, but we don't really know. I mean, as you heard, like, there's no information, and they've been able to find no information whatsoever. I would be interested to know if they've found artifacts here, arrowheads, spear tips, arrows, other types of tools, hammers. I've not seen any signs that say anything about that, and I'm not 100% sure if there's like a museum or like a gift shop type deal here that might have some things on display, but that's something that I'm going to look into and see if they have found any artifacts in the area. Simple guess would be the Indians, but you know, as the sign said, they've never found any encampments in the area, which makes me think they've not found any artifacts. So if they've not found any encampments or any artifacts, it's hard to really say. I don't know that that would be a natural formation, but maybe that's a possibility that is worth thinking about. Sounds silly, but if there's no encampments from the Indians and there's no encampments from early European settlers, there's no artifacts from the area from either or. Like, it's really hard to say how or why the rocks would have been stacked. There's no feasible theory like, hey, the Europeans stacked it for defense purposes, or hey, the Native Americans stacked it for symbolic or spiritual purposes, especially with there being no evidence of anybody ever camping or trying to settle the area. Alright, so I made it back to the truck. Round trip was just shy of 3/4 of a mile to go up to the tower, circle down to the wall, and then back to the truck. Park service is here now. They're doing some maintenance stuff, so it might be kind of loud. And as you can see, there's been a couple people come in since I got here. I took a closer look at the little printed map over there, and there are actually a lot of trails here. There's one specifically I'm looking for that goes to an overlook that I see a lot of pictures of. So I'm going to jump on all trails real quick and see if I can pinpoint exactly what trail that is. I'm thinking it's actually the one that we passed up at the four-way. That was the west end overlook, I believe is what it was called. But going back to the rock wall theory, if you guys have any ideas or any theories on what it may be, or if any of you are historians that happen to be watching and you might know a little more than what the signs or the plaques are telling us, feel free to comment and tell me your theory, or tell me the real historical aspects of it that you may know. I'm all ears, open-minded. I like to hear everybody's theory. It's pretty cool to hear all the different things that people think it could be or could have been. So yeah, just drop a comment down below and let me know your theory, and I'll do my best at commenting back and having a little banter with you. It looks like I was pretty much right. The specific overlook I was looking for is the one that we bypassed up to here on this trail. So we're gonna go back and we're gonna hike back up to it. Should have just done it when I was up there. Luckily it's not very far. And then it looks like there's gonna be pretty significant downhill, maybe some steps involved, and then a big wooden overlook platform. And so once we get that done, then we'll come back to the truck. There's another very short, like 0.5 or 0.7 mile overlook hike further down the road that I noticed, that I looked at. We'll go check that one out, and then depending on how much time we have, we'll head down to the bottom of the park and cruise in to where the lake is. I don't know much about the lake. I only know there's a lake here, one, because they do a polar plunge in the winter that I was going to do one time, and two, there's a trail that I've seen on all trails called the Big Rock Trail that I guess circles the lake or is very near the lake. Some of the pictures on there were of the lake. It looked pretty big. So if we have time, we'll also go out and check that out. But y'all stay tuned. I'll get back with you when we get over here to the lookout. Passed some nice folks. Asked them if I was on the right trail. They said yeah. Didn't even go probably 50 yards past them, and found the first signs of a little deck here. So these must be the stairs that a lot of people were talking about. Looks like it goes on up a pretty good ways. Yeah, so those stairs must go up to the tower, and that's what everybody was talking about in the all trails. And here's the view. So this is most definitely one of the places I was looking for. I do see quite a few pictures from this area. And it's hard to beat these mountain views sometimes here in Georgia. We just left the viewing platform. Ended up meeting a really nice couple there, and spent like probably 45 minutes talking about hiking and all the different places we'd been. And it was good to meet, you know, people who are like-minded. So that was kind of cool. And then I decided to climb these stairs just to do it. So we're gonna head back to the truck now, and then they recommended checking out the Cool Springs overlook and heading down to the lake and doing the big rock loop. Said there's some creeks and waterfalls there if the water's moving, or flowing rather. So we're gonna go check that out. Maybe check the time, 12:30. Depends on how fast I get moving. We might check it out, we might not. I'm actually pretty excited to see this. So this is the Gahuti trail, the backcountry trail I was talking about. They've got everything broke down really well here. Camping areas, you can only camp overnight by permit. Big nice sign. Something else that I found really cool about this specific trail that I've come to see is it is wheelchair accessible. So that's a pretty big deal for the folks out there who don't quite get to see everything that everybody else does because they're wheelchair bound. So this is kind of nice. It allows them to be able to come in and see it. So we're gonna come down here. We're gonna check out this view. The last view was overlooking Chatsworth. This one is supposed to be more of an overlook of the Gahutis. So it should be a nice nice little view of the valley up here. So that was a very short walk, and there's the view of the valley. So rocky face looks like this guy right here. Never been there. Holly Creek is right down in the valley there. Been there. Bald Mountain looks like it's straight in front of us, kind of socked in by the clouds right there. And then Lake Conasauga, roughly right in there, been there. And Grassy Mountain is that knob there that you also can't see because of the clouds. I've also been there. There's a fire tower on Grassy Mountain. Looks like some forest roads right down there at the bottom. I'm not sure what those are. That's near the Holly Creek area, but I'm not sure if they're accessible or not. And then looks like you've got some stairs that go down. This is the Gahuti trail, I believe. So another awesome overlook. Arguably better than the other one just because you don't have the houses and the town and stuff down in there. Not quite as panoramic as the other one, but still pretty nice. I enjoy this view. Reminds me a lot of the Smoky Mountain view. So as you can see, I made it down to the lake. It's really nice. The couple that I talked to back up at the overlook said that you can fish here, you can bring your kayak here. There's a place where you can rent boats and stuff over there, or paddle boats and maybe kayaks on the other side. Nice pavilion right up here behind me. I actually just shot another video there on a gear review of a emergency blanket / tarp. That video is actually already out. If you're watching this video, that video is already out. It's probably 2 or 3 videos back. It's the Pathfinder survival emergency blanket / tarp video. So if you haven't, you can go check that out now. I did pass the big rock loop trail. It's just right here at the top of the hill, but I guess that's a very popular trail. It's only 3/4 miles long, and there was like 17 people already hiking there. I'm not a very big people person, so I decided to go ahead and skip hiking that trail for now. But when I come back to bring my kiddos to see the rock wall at the top, we'll probably hike it then. So the couple up at the overlook were telling me that there's a visitor center back at the front, so I'm gonna swing back in there before I head out of the park and see if I can grab maybe some brochures or park maps, just so I have a better idea of what I'm getting into before I come out here again. The place is pretty big, and there's a lot of cool trails that they were telling me about that I'm interested in. So yeah, I'm gonna stop and grab that information, and I'll get back with you guys. Alright guys, so I just stopped in at the visitor center. It's also called the Trading Post. They have a cool little gift shop in there. So I ended up picking up another coffee cup to match my Fort Mountain State Park cup. It's red. Sticker to go on the RAV4. And then they did have these awesome maps that she gave me for free. And then I got the information on how to make a backcountry reservation. I think maybe when I come back and hike the Gahuti trail, I'll do, it's a short trail, 8 to 10 miles, give or take. I think I'll do an overnight. Not that I couldn't hike it all in one day, but just for the purpose of doing an overnight. Almost forgot, but before I take off, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you guys. So the pack, it actually wasn't all that uncomfortable, and I didn't really notice a problem with the hip pads. And I'm not sure if the pack caused it or if maybe I slept wrong or something last night, but I kind of got a pinch in my shoulder, and so the pack was kind of hurting to wear it while I was hiking, so that's why after the initial hike up to the tower and then back to the overlook. The next couple shots you didn't see me with it. You know, if I was out on an overnight or something, I would have wore it, whatever. But since I was real close to the truck and the trails I was hiking were only like less than half a mile, there was no reason to keep carrying around while my shoulder's hurting. So I'm gonna put the massage gun on the shoulder and see if I can work out some of the pinches, and then I'll give it another try at some point in the near future. Maybe do an actual overnighter. But as far as comfort of wearing the pack wears fine. The hip belt seemed to be fine. I didn't hike a whole lot, but it was good to get like off pavement with it. So hopefully once I decide to do, you know, a 5 or 6 mile hike or more, it'll still afford the same comfort. It is starting to get a little heavy already, and I haven't even got all the gear on there that I need, so I'm kind of worried about that, because the whole point was to be semi-light. And I mean, I'm probably already in the 20-pound range. I do have the tripod and the chair on there, but I still have a sleeping pad, a first aid kit, some other stuff to put in there. So hopefully I can keep it around the 20-pound mark. That would be ideal. But yeah, there's that.